Hey y'all, hey. Welcome to another conversation. We'll start out the group chat. I have my brother in here. I'm gonna call you my brother because I feel like you're my brother.
That's right.
um, so just to give y'all a backstory, a few weeks ago, I had Erica Jones in here, my good sis, Miss E, and she was talking about her clothing brand, her story behind the look, and her fashions and how she finds her inspiration. And so this is her little brother. And so I was like, yeah, I got to get him on the pod to talk about his music and his songwriting and things like that. So it's such a blessing to finally get to, because we were just talking off the podcast about how we haven't actually met before formally, but we kind of feel like we're familiar with each other just through Erica. So nice to meet you.
Shay,
Um,
nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's good to have you here. I want to get right into it, and also I want to apologize in advance. Just if my internet get to skipping, I don't know what's wrong with it, but we're gonna get through it. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So the first thing I wanted to ask you about, can you tell us about the moment when you knew you wanted to pursue a career in music?
Yes. But before I answer that question, let me also say, Shay, I feel like you are a sister too. My sister talks about you all the time. So I feel like I know you, even though we've never officially met. So again, I'm happy to be here on your platform. And thank you
Of course.
for the opportunity. So yeah,
Absolutely.
so I'm a singer, songwriter, producer now. And
Uh-huh.
I think I've always had the desire ever since I was a kid and I was singing in the choir at my church. And
Okay.
so um, every third Sunday was Youth Sunday at my church, and I started off as an usher, both me and my sister.
Okay.
And I realized that I wanted to join the children's choir, and I joined that choir. And I remember I had to have been maybe in third grade, and I got my first solo, and just having the reaction from the audience, I was like, I think I want to do this forever. And so that's
Wow.
the goal.
Wow, that's awesome. I think a lot of it starts definitely from our upbringings. In the church, because I was in the youth choir too.
Yep.
My youth choir, we was called folk ensemble, and I was at anniversaries, I was at choir practices. Typical church kids.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm the exact opposite. My mama used to always say, "Girl, you can sing," and I'm like, "Ma, I don't never want to lead no song." So I always looked up to kids kids that were in the choir with me, like that wanted to lead a song, because I used to always get butterflies. Like
Yeah.
I could never do that.
I the moment is like I don't know if I ever wanted to, but the
Uh huh.
moment that my choir director asked me to, it was like in that moment I was like, snap, I really like this. We
Yeah.
were called the Joyful Sounds, and my choir director, Miss Gloria Artist, I always remember her because she gave me my first solo, and like she was like for real my biggest cheerleader. Like
Okay.
literally, I was a part of that choir for when I was a young kid, probably until I graduated from high school, even though like
Mhm.
technically I wasn't a youth anymore. But she was a big encouragement. She gave me a lot of solos, and she like, you know how they say like somebody can like, I don't know, like she was just a big encouragement.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
gassed me up. That's what I was looking for. She
Yeah.
gassed me up all the time.
Yeah.
And eventually my family did as well. And I just knew like, hey, I think I'm good at this. I want to do it.
Yeah. It's funny because we always, we talk about like our inspirations as children, and, like we're talking about before, those humble beginnings, and, you know, us understanding, our own talents, because when we're kids, we don't understand. We just doing what we were told to do. But,
Sure.
like you were saying, about your choir director, she pretty much, she saw something in you, pretty much,
Yeah.
is what happened. And so it's a blessing that you were able to hone more into on that.
Yeah.
So
Let me just
how
say
has
real quick,
Mhm,
Shay,
mhm.
you real saved because you said humble. I'll say you real saved. She
No,
didn't say
I'm real
humble. She said humble. You know the Lord. Come on now.
I'm a saint.
That's right.
um, how has your cultural background influenced your music and artistic expression?
That's very good. So when I think about that question, I think about Black culture, obviously, but I also think about church culture. And I really feel like if you put both of those together, you really get Rob LaRay music. And so to be clear, I'm not a gospel artist, but I also don't necessarily consider myself a secular artist. I'm somewhere
Okay.
in the middle.
Mhm.
So the music that you're going to get from Rob LaRay, for the most part, is always inspirational. It's encouraging. And
Mhm.
so I think that is definitely rooted in gospel, is definitely rooted in the
Right.
church and in my upbringing. But at the same time, I love all things Black culture. So I love R&B, I love hip hop, I love jazz, I love soul. And so I feel
Mhm.
like it's all a fusion of really who I am and who I present as an artist.
Wow, that's awesome. And your song, I love that song. It's just, it's first of all, the art, the when you had your hands out and you smiling, it's like it's so symbolic in what the song represents, because it's like in the picture, it's like you just look like I'm just so happy, and life is good. And also, when you were saying about, Black culture and things like that, sometimes we do get, a lot of us are dealing with things, different
Sure.
things. And
Yeah.
so looking at your album art and your cover for your song, it's just, it's like there's hope, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Sure. I
So
love that you
yeah,
said that.
yeah,
I love that you said that because that's always the goal.
right.
Is to make my listeners feel better. Like
Yes.
that's always the goal, to feel better. Like to your point, we are all experiencing life in our own way. We're all
Yes.
going through different things.
Right.
And so if you can listen to a tune that can make you smile for a minute, to give you hope
Yes.
for a second, then I did my job as a musician. Now, granted,
Absolutely.
that's not everybody's job description, but for
Yeah.
me, that's
Yeah.
my goal as a musician, as an artist, is to make people feel peace, love, and joy.
Yeah. And you could just see it. It's like it was radiating off of you as you were, and also you could hear it when you listen to the song, and it's like it was hope in your voice. And again, like I said, the art, when you were, had your hands open, this is like you were in receptive mode, like you were
Yeah,
receiving all good things for you. So I
yeah.
I definitely took that from that. Yeah.
I'm so glad. And thank you so much. The cover is actually, I was performing that song live. And so
Okay.
that is actually from a live performance of the song.
Nice.
Um, and so, yeah, it was good.
Nice. That was awesome. I love that. So, okay, so what challenges have you faced so far, with your music and with your songwriting and with your producing, or however,
Yeah.
how have you faced them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've always loved music. I've always had the desire to pursue music fully. However, it wasn't until 2016 that I would say that I actually became an artist. That's when I started writing. That's when I started performing live. That's when I started releasing music. And so you can have a great product. My very first album was Black Gold. We released that in 2018. I had a couple of singles before that. And so you can have a great product, and like, because it's so good, at least that's how you feel in the moment. You think that, oh, this is gonna happen fast, I'm about to take off, but then you
Mm,
don't take off.
ooh,
And so, although I've been pursuing this actively since 2016, there have also been some moments where it has felt really dry. There's been moments where I didn't necessarily feel like I had a strong enough team, or I didn't have a team at all, or I
mm,
didn't have a lot of sales. So it's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows. We were speaking off camera, and so you know that I'm also a social worker, and
mm,
so having to rely on my 9 to 5 to fully pay my bills, when really I have this passion for music, but it's not bringing in any type of income.
mm,
Meanwhile, I'm working this job that is super heavy, is emotionally taxing, and so you're like, Lord, when is this break gonna happen?
yeah.
So to answer your question, I think the biggest challenge for me has been patience.
Mm,
And here's the thing.
ooh,
The reason why I say that is because I know that the big break is going to happen.
yes,
It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of when. And
mm,
sometimes, if I'm being transparent,
yeah,
I can be impatient.
mm,
But I thank God for the journey. I know I'm not going to be
mm,
so long-winded. I thank God for the journey because I'm realizing that no matter where I am on this journey, whether I'm in North Carolina, whether I'm in New York, whether I'm in LA, God has given me, He has blessed me with the ability to do what I love, and that is
wow,
to make music. And so,
yeah,
what I'm learning in this season is let me enjoy this moment making music.
Mm-hmm.
The breakthrough would come. Like, that's gonna come. But when that comes, I will hope that I have enjoyed the journey along the way.
Yes. Oh, that was powerful right there. I got chills on my arm. And it's a blessing because when you're saying about enjoying the journey, I think anytime as creators or people that have a personal vision for themselves, I think it's easy to get caught up in the win.
Yes.
But we you and I have discussed, we're believers. We believe.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, when it talks about be still and know, you got to
Yeah.
be still and know.
Be still
And
and know
so, and like
the
you,
power of
yeah,
God.
yeah. And to your point, when you were talking about, sometimes you get impatient, it's like it's easier said than done sometimes, if we're just being honest.
Yeah.
But what I always go back to is that he's not a man. He can't lie. Ain't
He won't
that
lie.
and that in
No.
that book? Ain't no lies in that book.
Ain't no, come on now. Ain't no
If you
lie.
want to, if you
Ain't no
want to get
lies.
the
If he
truth,
said it, he's gonna do it.
you better
There's no
talk.
lies. Thank you, Shay. And I also just again want to say shout out to you and your platform, because oftentimes as a musician, again, I'm not necessarily gospel, I'm not necessarily world, I'm somewhere in the middle. And so
Yeah,
there are some platforms that I've been on and I can't talk about Christ.
yeah,
I still do it because it's in me, it's
yeah.
gonna come out.
That
But
yes,
I appreciate this platform. And I'll say this as a believer,
yeah,
and shout out to my best friends on the chat, Shakira, and my godson Landon. But we had this conversation all the time.
yeah.
As a believer, my hustle and my grind does not have to look like the world.
That's right.
Ooh,
That's right.
can I just break that down just a little bit?
Say it again.
So
Come
we
on.
might all have the same goal of getting to, let's say, the summit of this mountain, right? That's the
Yes.
goal.
Hmm.
And so some people might feel like, oh, I'm a hustle, I'm a grind, I'm gonna be working all night. I'm in the studios at 3 a.m. I'm collabing, I'm networking, I'm doing all this. I'm not mad at it. Do it.
Yeah.
As a believer, I'm gonna do exactly what Shay just told me and sit down somewhere and be still and
Yes.
trust the Lord. Mind you, I'm still gonna be working, I'm still writing, I'm still releasing music. I've been releasing music since 2016. I haven't stopped,
Yeah.
but I'm not stressing about the hustle. I'm not stressing about the grind because I believe the promises of God.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah. And that's what I think. I mean, even our day to day, like even in our day to day lives, we get caught up in when is this gonna happen for me? You know, when is this gonna happen for me? I've been faithful over this. I've been doing this. I've been everything that you told me to do. I'm being a steward over this. I'm taking it serious. And you like you said, you got people working, hustling, whatever they choosing to do. But it's like, a while ago, I had an older saint tell me that some when you're rushing things, it doesn't come from goodness. It
Mm,
comes from another energy. But when
mm,
you trust in your timing, it's coming from. It's gonna come.
yeah.
Everything that you want is gonna come. It's just about being consistent, persistent, and trusting your process. And also, when I went to see I told I said, one thing I struggle with is comparison.
Mm. That's a trick.
Comparison. It's a trick of the enemy because
Yeah.
again, your story is not my story. I could do this for 10 years and never, pop or get
Sure.
whatever notoriety I feel like I should do. But again, I need to stay focused on my journey. But
Absolutely.
it's easier said than done because for me, I'm just speaking for me personally. When I'm on Instagram or Facebook and I see somebody doing something that I've been doing for years, and it's like, well, God, what about me?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there before too.
Hmm.
Not so much now, but I've definitely been there before too. But I think to your point of just staying focused
Yeah.
on your God-given assignment, I
Hmm.
think that's the best way. Like we think about cars on a highway, there are lanes for a reason. So that we can get to our destination safely,
Yeah.
so that we're not crashing into somebody else. And so that's why it's important to just stay focused and stay in our lanes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's invaluable right there. Staying focused and staying in your lane. So who are your biggest musical influences and how have they shaped your sound?
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna have to say, this is hard. So let me just shout out first of all the gospel greats, because that's kind of what I was raised on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say like a John B. Key, because we're from North
Okay.
Carolina.
Okay.
Um, um, Kurt Franklin, the Clark sisters,
Yeah.
um, all of the gospel greats. Let me just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a part of my influence. But also, there's an artist named Molly Music. Not sure if you know him, but
Yep.
he's my favorite artist of all time. And I
Really.
think because I feel like I'm in the same space that he's in. It's not too much church, but it's not necessarily the world. It's somewhere in the middle. And
Right.
so artists like Molly Music, artists like PJ Morton, those have been my influences probably over the last decade.
Nice. Yeah. Well, you said John P. Key, you took me back.
Come on now.
John P. Key, you took me back with that one. Cause I'm telling you, like, much like you, I grew up on all the gospel greats. So John P. Key, Fred Hammond, Clark sisters, Donnie McClurkin,
Yeah.
Hezekiah.
Hezekiah. Yeah.
Oh, so many, of
I think
obviously
Fred
Kirk.
Hammond was people always ask what's your favorite concert. And I think not favorite, but my first concert was a Fred Hammond concert in
Really?
Charlotte. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
From what I
Yeah.
can remember.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like their music. And I'm going to be honest with you. I like older gospel. I still listen to all those artists I just named. I still listen to their music. Like, I mean,
Sure.
I still listen to even the old Mississippi Mass Choir, like the old
Yeah,
gospel
yeah, yeah,
music.
yeah,
I
yeah.
listen to I listen to all that still.
I like it.
I just love it. Yeah.
I love it too. And so they have all influenced me. I am a fan of some of the newer school gospel music, and also some of the newer school R&B. But yeah, again, I think I'm a fusion of all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's what your calling is. Like if that's your passion, I don't think that you should be like she said Dottie Peoples. Yes, ma'am.
Come on,
That's
Dottie.
that's one. Yes, Dottie. Yes,
Her hair
ma'am.
is just like mine right now. I'm sure. She covered
Yes.
good fun.
But no, I don't. I think that you should, like you said, if you're somewhere in between, I think that's a good thing. I don't think that it's like a
I'm proud of it. I'm happy about
yeah,
it. I'm happy about it.
absolutely.
Because to your point, that's my assignment. I
Yeah.
knew that I was called outside of the four walls of the church for the
Hmm.
music God gave me. He told me that in 2016. I've
Hmm.
been leading worship. I lead worship now at my church, and I've been leading worship since around 2017, 2018. But
Hmm.
I've seen the choir my whole life. But
Yeah.
I also knew that, man, there's a certain level of peace that I have when I'm performing Rob LaRay music that I don't get on Sunday mornings. And I
Hmm.
know is that because I am called to take the church to the world, opposed to being the church in front of the church, which I'm not mad at that. I just know that my assignment is to go outside of the church.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey E, hey y'all, hey everybody. Thank y'all
Hey,
for tuning
y'all.
in. No, but I think that we have to be obedient to, and we have to listen to ourselves rather than listen to what a critic or somebody would say, like, well, I don't think that he should, you know what I mean? I think that there's a space for everybody. And
Absolutely.
I commend you 100% for walking in your truth and, you know, creating your space, creating your own lane, because I feel like if you're doing it and you're doing it for your own satisfaction and you're also keeping God at the center of it, it's gonna always be blessed.
I agree.
Period. You
Amen.
know? Yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna always be blessed. So I'm excited for your success. You going places and I know that.
Thank you.
And so how do you feel the representation of black musicians in the industry has evolved over the years?
Ooh, that's good. That's a good question. So if we're thinking about America, it's kind of hard to even mention music and not mention Black people. We have
Mm-hmm.
always been the foundation for music in the industry. The thing is, we haven't always been behind the money. We haven't always been the money. We've oftentimes been the talent,
Yeah.
while other people have been monetizing and capitalizing on our gifting.
Right.
Now, what I feel is beautiful is that now we are beginning to see more ownership in Black music. Like people are fighting for their masters. They are now owning record labels. They're starting their own music businesses, sync licensing companies. And so I think that's probably been the biggest, I guess, evolution, is that now we are not just the talent, but we have some ownership as well.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And when you to your point when you were talking about how we have had a hand in every single genre it is, I don't care what genre it is, we have had. And to me, let me tell it, we started all this.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
We started all this. So, I just, and I am happy for the fact that like you said, we're taking control of the narrative. We're owning our masters, we're owning things, we're understanding more that we got to build our own table, eat off our own table, because
Sure, absolutely.
it's gonna always be somebody trying to take over, come in and take over. And I love that for us. I do. I
I
love
love
it
that
for us.
for us too. I
Yeah.
love that. I used to say that Black people were the first AI. So what we do, we get AI. They do
Yeah.
things that we don't necessarily want to do. And so for the longest, that was the Black person, that the white man
Yeah.
would get to do things that they didn't necessarily want to do to increase productivity, right? And
Mm.
so I think um,
Ooh, that's good.
naturally we're talented people. Like we
Yes.
brought that with us to the United States of America,
Hmm.
and it was nothing for them to capitalize off of our natural gifts and our talents. So I'll just say that.
Okay, not me finna add AI to my resume.
Come on,
Let me
it's true.
let me find out,
It's
because
true.
I like that
Everything that they
analogy.
didn't want to do, they got us to do it, but they were making money off of it. And so like they weren't necessarily
Wow.
trying to, well, one, they did, respectfully, they probably didn't have the talents that we have to be making and this music and touring, and all of this stuff. And that's why this is so good. Even you remember the Five Heartbeats? I know you've seen it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when Black people will write the music and then white people will just try to remake it and then sell it.
Hmm.
So that's been happening since the beginning of time.
Of course. And when you were saying that, when you were talking, I was thinking about Chuck Berry and Elvis Presley.
Yes. Ooh, Elvis. Elvis stole a lot of our music.
A
A lot of our
lot,
music.
a lot of it, a lot of it. So wow, me being Black AI. Come on, Jesus, yes. So we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but what message or themes do you aim to convey through your music?
Yeah, it's simple. I love to put it in just 3 words. My message is peace, love, and joy. If I
Mm,
can give my audience peace, if when they listen to my music, they feel better, then I feel good. If I can make them feel love, then I feel good. And then if I can make them smile, I can give them joy. I've done my job. So peace, love, and joy.
yeah, that's awesome. And like I said, it's when you have that, because I can hear the passion in your voice. It's like when you have that passion with you, and then you're doing what you love. It's gonna. I feel like people can appreciate it more rather than this. Just you kind of, like people. Because I mean, a lot of people don't have a passion for things. It's just kind of like a, I'm just doing this to get by. But when you
Sure.
have a passion, you could feel the passion through the music. Like I said, with your voice, and like by you being hands-on songwriting and producing, it's like you could feel like, because you're hands-on with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so can you share an experience where your music had a significant impact on your listeners or your community?
Yeah, I love this question. So there have been many moments. My first single that I released was a song called "Black Boy, Black Girl," and I released this. I want to say in 2017, and so I released this during a time where our country was going through a lot. There was a lot of police police brutality during that time. And so I felt like I needed to have a song that represented our people. And so just the response that I got back from that was beautiful. I went on to write Black Gold, which is a song that was dedicated to my mom. Just really acknowledging her for all of the work that she has put in and invested into my life. Some of the things unseen, unspoken, just wanted to love and celebrate her. And I performed that live in Greenville, North Carolina. I think this was January 2018, right before I was about to move to New York. And to just see her in the audience crying, and not just her, but like multiple people, that's a moment that I will probably remember forever. Similar,
Wow.
I have a album that's getting ready to drop in October. There's a song on this album. This is a sneak peek, y'all. There's a song on this album called Enjoy the Moment. And I really feel like it's going to have a similar impact that Black Gold had, because when I performed it live in Los Angeles and in Greenville last year, I got the same response. People were in tears. And so my goal isn't to make people cry, but my goal is to write lyrics that resonate with people, that make them feel a sense of, again, peace, love, and joy.
Yeah. Everything that you said, it resonates so much because, one thing I can say about with you and I feel like with with me and my family and how we grew up in like a small city, we had a vision for our lives and we just had the faith, the mustard seed faith to step out. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's why I can connect so much with you and because it's like we come from similar backgrounds. And
sure.
so when you were talking about your mom and you writing a song for her, I think that a lot of it comes from, we we cherish those humble beginnings, those small little things that people don't know and don't understand. But if you knew what it took, what we had to
Ooh,
endure, what we had to go through, I couldn't even. And for us to be where we are now because we trusted our process and we trusted God to get us there.
come on.
Man, don't get me crying this thing
That's
because I
good.
get the crying. I will get the crying, but no, I love that, and I really. The thing is, like I said, I keep saying this, but I mean it. I really hope that your whatever you want, I hope that I hope and pray that you get it. That's
Amen.
it. That's
Amen.
it.
Thank you for
That's
that.
it. So, how do you balance maintaining your unique voice while also appealing to a broader audience?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Hmm.
So I think staying true to myself, and I mentioned this already during this interview, but again, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not a
Hmm.
lot of church. I'm not a lot of secular worldly stuff, but I'm somewhere in the middle, and I celebrate that. I'm happy with that. So I
Right.
think when I stay true to that, I think that's when I know that I'm being my most authentic self.
Hmm.
I don't think I'll ever release a sexy R&B album. It's just
Hmm.
not me as an
Yeah.
artist. Now, granted, we got some sexy tracks on this new project that's coming out, but a full sexy R&B artist is not necessarily me. Same, I don't know if I'll ever release a full gospel churchy.
Project. Yeah.
It ain't
Yeah.
me, Shay. It's not me, but I'm
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, and I think even at the level of success that I'm currently am, I think I'm there because I'm staying true to who I am as an artist. I'm
Yeah.
really not trying to duplicate another artist or trying to fit in, because there is a thing of creating music that is popular now, and I could do it,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't be true to myself. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think that's another thing too. Staying true to who you are. Don't the way one thing about a wave, they go up and they come back
when
down.
they come down, Shay,
So I think the biggest thing is definitely like you said, trusting yourself, trusting how you feel about your process.
yeah,
Knowing that it's nothing. I mean, if you being true to you and you have confidence in what you're doing, it's like they say, if you build it, they'll come. Period.
they'll. Oh, that's good, Shay. Yes, if you
Yeah,
build it, they'll come. And
they'll
here's the thing:
come.
I'm not even doing it on my own. Like, hey, I came up with this. This is what
Yeah.
it is. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great. Wow, this is where the Lord has placed me. He's placed me in
Yes.
this. He placed
Yes.
me here. He knew
Yes.
that a whole church album would be uncomfortable for me. He knew that a
Yeah.
Sesame R&B album would be uncomfortable for me. So like,
Yeah.
he's giving me the confidence to stand right where I am.
Yeah. Absolutely. And keep standing in your space because
Yeah.
that's yours. So, what advice would you give to a young black musician starting out in the industry today?
That's good. If they're super young, I would say go ahead and pick up an instrument right now.
Yeah.
I waited a little bit later in adulthood to start playing keys, and I'm still not great at it, but I'm good enough to produce a little bit. So I would say pick up an instrument now if you can. Actually, my friend, my best friend Shakira, her husband Maurice Brown, he actually gave me that advice a couple of years ago, but I was still too old by then. It's still a struggle. But I would say pick up an instrument, and then the second thing I would say is just keep doing it. Keep writing as much as possible. Keep singing as much as possible, because what you're doing is you're building a muscle. Artistry,
Mhm.
singing, creating in itself is a muscle that has to be strengthened. So the more you do it, the better you become at it, but also the more confident you become at it. Because I've been singing since I was a kid in that youth choir that we talked about, I now have a certain skill. I now have a certain level of expertise, and I would never say that like I'm the best in the world, but for
Right.
what I'm doing right now, I'm skilled at it. And I
Yeah.
say that humbly.
Yeah.
I say that humbly, like I'm skilled at it. And the reason why I'm skilled at it is because not for nothing, I put in the time. And I still
Mm.
got a long way to go, and I'm looking forward to it. But at the level that I am right now, I can say that I'm skilled at it because of the time I put in it. So, one, try to learn an instrument early on. Two, keep doing it.
Yeah. That's powerful too, because like you said, it's a muscle that has to be developed, and also just staying committed, like again we're talking about earlier, staying
Commitment.
committed. Because I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, again, we being honest, it's like it does get frustrating, and you do start to, okay, God, where you do you see me out here? And
Yeah,
so I think, like you said, trusting it, sticking with it. Like you said, I mean, in anything, when it comes to muscles, you gotta, if you want to get a muscle, you gotta go to the gym, you gotta keep working that muscle.
you got
So
to
it's
keep.
just,
That's why I'm
yeah,
still skinny today, because I ain't made
yeah,
it to the gym in real
yeah.
life. I keep saying I'm gonna go around there, and I'm
Yeah.
still here.
It's that commitment part, but we're gonna pray on that gym part.
Amen.
So I wanted to ask you, this one I didn't put on the thing, but I wanted to ask you about the Grammys.
Yeah.
Cause y'all shut it down. So I'm trying to get the tea, and I'm trying to find out what was the process like. What happened?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I am I think I mentioned this earlier. I'm a social worker.
Right.
And so I left my last social work job in 2018. I was living in New York City. The
Mhm.
experience was so emotional. It was so heavy and taxing for me that I just needed a break. So in 2018 is when I decided to pursue music fully. And so I did that up until probably 2021. And that's when I moved to Los Angeles, which is where I am now. I came here because I got a scholarship to go to music school. And
Okay.
so it was a 1 year program. And after that program, I was looking for a job, and I knew that I didn't necessarily want to go back to social work as I knew it. But what God had in plan was beyond what I could even fathom.
Mm.
So there was a job with this organization that's called Music Cares,
Mhm.
and so this organization helps singers, songwriters, musicians, anyone who works in the music industry. If they fall on hard times, then we can help maybe pay rent. We can provide therapy.
Okay.
We can help with medical services, things like that. And so I knew that I was overly qualified for that job based on the job description. I was just like, oh, MSW, I got that. Experience, I got that. Music experience, I got that. So I knew I was qualified for that job. And
Yeah.
so I applied for that job on a Friday. I got a call on a Monday. Ended up going through 4 interviews, and ultimately I got that job.
Oh
Now,
wow.
what's amazing about that job is that Music Cares was founded by the Recording Academy. The Recording Academy is the academy that brings us the Grammys, the
Right.
Latin Grammys, the Grammy Museum, Grammy University, and then Music Cares. We're all affiliate organizations. So I work now for the Recording Academy. And what that means is I get to go to the Grammys. And so,
Ah.
and not just the Grammys, but like most of the music events here in Los Angeles. And so because of the work that I do, so all of the clients that we serve are not necessarily Recording Academy members, but they are musicians who qualify for our services. But because of my affiliation with the Recording Academy, I get to go to the Grammys and work different events, but also just enjoy the show. And so this year was my first year at the Grammys, and I was able to take my sister, and we went, and we had the most amazing time at the pre-show, the actual show, the after parties. It was a week filled with events, and it was amazing. And what's beautiful is it was a little bit prophetic that I even have this job, because Shay, I watch the Grammys every single year. I've always
Really?
watched Grammys. Like in my
Wow.
mind, I have an acceptance letter for my Grammy in my head. So anytime I get this, when I get this Grammy, I'm ready for my acceptance.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm saying all of that to say it was a part of God's plan, and literally
Wow.
I'm just one step closer to actually being on the stage.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. So, cause I was like, Erica and yeah, they had the Grammys.
We were there,
I said they some celebrities.
and we
I
look
didn't get
forward.
that. I didn't
We
get
look
their
forward to
autograph.
yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing from God.
That was awesome. That was awesome. So, and then I also saw that you and Tabitha Brown.
Yeah. So again, when I moved out here to LA, I knew that I was going to be a full-time student. Full-time student doesn't necessarily, they don't pay the bills. So I had to find a job. And I knew that I didn't want to go back to social work. And so I knew that Tabitha Brown was from North Carolina. I'm
Yeah.
from North Carolina. She said that, hey, she put it on social that I'm about to open up a restaurant in the Valley of Los Angeles. So me just being who I am, I shot my shot, and I DM'd her on Instagram, said, "Hey, I'm from North Carolina. I'm out here for school. I got some morning availability if you need any help." She responded back, which is crazy because I think at the time she had like 4 million followers, and she just so happened to see my DM. That's how I know it's God.
Wow.
And so they called me in for an interview, got hired on the spot. And I was working there just as a server, but because who I am and I try to do all things well, by the time that I left that job, I was the manager, and I also was over like some of the music things that were happening there. My very first show in LA was at Tabitha Brown Restaurant. And this is so cool. Let me just say this. She had celebrities hitting her up, like people with large followings hitting her up, said, "Hey, I want to come do a show at your restaurant." She contacted me and said, "You know what? I want to start in-house first. I want to take care of my own people first. And so, Rob, I would love for you to have the first show
Wow.
in LA." And so since then, we've been super tight, super close. Even after I left the restaurant, she had a book tour that she was on, and she had me open up for her. And so she's amazing. She's a big supporter. I love all things Tabitha Brown.
I love her so much. And the thing is, it's like she's so inspirational because I love the fact that she talks about code switching. But
Yeah,
it's just like she's so transparent and she's so honest and she's so North Carolina.
she
Matter of fact,
is.
I want to say she's from, is it
Thank you
Reedsville?
again for having me. Thank you so much for your platform. And then for all of your viewers, if they want to, my new single, All Right, is streaming right now on all digital platforms. And you can follow me at rob.laray everywhere. So that's rob.laray. Thank you so much, Shay.
Thank you. Sorry.